Joel Embiid is on pace not to be eligible for the MVP, despite having an MVP caliber season, even more so than last year from a sheer statistical output standpoint and arguably from like a winning standpoint. He just isn't going to play enough games if this pace keeps up. This wasn't the case early on, but the past month or so sure has made this the case. If it's not Joel Embiid, who is your MVP this season, fellas?
I want to point something out. This is that JJ Redick pointed out. Only one player besides for Joel Embiid in NBA history has averaged 35 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. I want to take a wild guess as to who that is.
It has to be Wilt Chamberlain, right?
Wilt Chamberlain. And when Wilt Chamberlain did it, he did it on far worse efficiency while averaging fucking 44 minutes a game. It was also a higher paced era. Teams were taking 10 more shots per game than they are now. What the fuck?
Yeah, so what we're basically saying is that Joel Embiid is the greatest Sixer to ever play center of all time.
I don't know. There's actually a surprisingly competent list because you got Wilt and you got Moses.
But Joel Embiid better. So if not Embiid, then who you got for MVP at this point in the season?
That's crazy because Embiid has just been my answer pretty much ever since we got a couple of months into the year.
I'll say it. Give it to Shea. Fuck it. The Thunder are like way overperforming expectations for some people.
Yeah, and that's crazy.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is a historic performer this year.
That's crazy because they had high expectations, especially relative to the team that they were before. But I was like, yeah, they're going to be the fifth. That's what my expectations were, and they've exceeded those. I think even Alex, they've exceeded your expectations as a fan.
I don't know if I would have Shea as MVP. I think of the players, yes, he has as good a case in regards to non-Embiid players. I think he has as good of a case as anybody. But
55% from the field. That's really fucking. He's 60% from two as a guard. He only takes 3 threes a game. So that's wild.
I think he's also like, I saw a little micro thread about SGA. It was someone quoting a highlight of him driving, stepping back left, and popping a midi from there. And it basically said he's 87th in percentile in terms of frequency of that type of shot, and 87th in percentile when it comes to efficiency on that shot. So when it comes to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, as soon as he steps inside the arc, he's like one of the best scorers in basketball, hands down, no question about it. And the Thunder just have the team success to warrant that type of conversation.
Yeah, and it's not like he's just scoring. He's averaging 6 rebounds and 6 assists, also averaging a league high in steals, 2.2 a game. I don't know if he'll maintain that for the second half of the season. Fuck, we're already 40 games into this year. Jesus.
Yep, we're approaching the halfway mark.
Yeah, it is crazy. The season's gone by fast as hell. I feel like Embiid's gonna make sure he hits that threshold unless he absolutely, you know what I mean? He'll play. He will make sure he cares about that award.
Yeah. So this is a Yahoo Sports MVP ladder that I'm about to put on screen. Let's get our live reaction to that. At number 7, we got Tyrese Halliburton, and then number 6, we got Luka Doncic. I think Tyrese is a real stretch. If the Mavericks had like a 20-game win streak, I would put Luka in the like realistic conversation, but those are basically our honorable mentions. Giannis Antetokounmpo and Jason Tatum are number 5 and number 4 respectively, the 2 best teams in the East, maybe. Nikola Jokic is number 2, while Shea is number 3, and then Joel Embiid is still number 1. Does this list sound decent to you fellas, or is it kind of glaringly wrong in some ways? Personally, I'm putting Shea over Nikola right now, but that's just me.
Yeah, I probably would too. I'm beginning to think that Jason Tatum's never going to win an MVP.
Nah.
I don't really have strong opinions about the MVP race. I think too many players right now that you could give it to. But Embiid is like, to me, Embiid's number 1, and then it's like Embiid, everybody else.
Yeah,
so
it really feels like the volatility of just everything about the NBA. Like a 1 seed and an 8 seed is more competitive between those teams than ever. And like the best MVP candidate and the 7th best MVP candidate, that 7th best candidate is much closer to winning MVP than ever before. You know, like there's so many more guys who are competing for these awards. So many more guys competing for all-star spots, for all-NBA spots. So many teams that are more competent than they ever were.
Yeah. Coffee Nike says that Anthony Edwards should be in MVP convos. I'm not quite sure about that, but he should probably be in like that Luka Doncic, Tyrese Halliburton realm where it's like
Yeah.
honorable mention, get a little bit of votes on the ballot, but not actually contend for the award.
Yeah, the thing about that as well is like calling back to the superstar thing, you're not winning that award unless you're pretty much definitively a superstar in people's eyes. And like Ant is just not that. Like he could technically have the most impressive counting stats and have the best record team in the entire league. And even still, people are not going to actually give him that award because he's not a super.
If he had the best counting stats,
No,
and
not
they
the
were
best.
on the best
I
record.
didn't say best. I didn't say best. I said good,
What'd
like
you-
really good counting stats. Like even technically like star upper towards superstar tier counting stats. If you don't have the reputation of a superstar, that's going to hurt you.
I just don't. I feel like he would have that reputation if his stats were a little bit better. That's why I'm confused.
I mean, I think players have had superstar stats while not being superstar stats. Or
Also, you did
superstar
say the
players.
best stats.
Okay,
The chat's backing me up. You
Okay,
did say
well,
best.
well, how about this? How about fuck you, chat? And how about that?
Perfect. Just a lovely debate for us to work into the Q&A segment. Simple.
Okay,
goal?
I just want one last thing. Let's say Ant was averaging 30 points per game right now. Everything else is the same, and the Timberwolves are the top seed, best record in the entire league. He's not winning.
Everyone
MVP.
would consider him a superstar, and he would probably win him. If Ant was averaging 30 right now, he would be.
Only
he would
four
be
more
in the,
points.
That's
Dude,
a lot.
in the fan, in the eyes of a casual fan, the difference between 26
Yeah.
points and 30 points is everything.
Okay,
and if you're on the
29.
best record in the West, I guarantee you, if he's averaging 30, everyone's like, okay, well,
Alex-
if it's not going to be Joel Embiid, it's
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards.
Yeah,
I'm
30
just gonna keep changing this scenario until I win the argument. So it's 29 points per game. How about that?
Whatever. Nothing. Nothing to be gained from drawn lines. A simple goal. I don't know. Ask me. Hey Rudy, where does Brogdon play? I did have to think about it. It's the Trailblazers, though. Unless something happened I missed, but it should still be the Trailblazers. Shout out Malcolm Brogdon, friend of the show. Jawal.mp4 asks us, what should the Knicks do next? Assuming that there is another trade or something like that in the pipeline, is there anything that they can do to become a bona fide championship contender this season?
I feel like if you can just get a better option than Julius Randle, but I don't know. Like if the guy who was in Julius Randle's spot was just another guy that I believe in more. But even then, like, again, superstar talk. You don't have one. Julius ain't that, unfortunately, as shocking as this statement might be. Jalen Brunson ain't that, so you're just not going to reach that tier at that point. But you get to be a very good playoff team for a while. That's fun. You're the Knicks. You should take that.
I feel like they just don't really have a ton of flexibility, which is my
Right.
bigger concern. Like, they can only really play one way. I think getting like, honestly, a point guard that can run just like more traditional offense, that they can like, okay, yeah, we're gonna throw out a lineup that's a more traditional point guard with Jalen Brunson, OG, Julius Randle, and like Isaiah Hartenstein, and just play like some normal basketball instead of how they kind of operate. Not saying they don't play normal basketball. It's just they have a pretty specific style of offense that kind of zigs while everyone else is zagging. So
Rudy just used those exact words in our script the other
I sure did. When this video drops, everyone's going to think I boosted it from this ending segment of the podcast.
Yeah, everyone's gonna watch this moment on the podcast. Everyone.
I thought I invented that idiom. Rob008 gave us $5 to say, I love you, Rusty Buckets, my Pookie Bear. Also, who do you think will win, the Celtics or Nuggets?
I'm gonna bet against the Celtics every day of my life until I'm wrong.
Alfie Day.
It's worked to this point.
Alfie Day, thank you for the $5, Rob008. Do
And
appreciate
thank
that
you for
donation
calling
very
me
much.
Pookie Bear.
Alfie Day said to remember to like the stream, guys, but also asked us, what are you guys' thoughts on Wembanyama and his recent improvements? He's only been playing about half the game lately, about 24 to 25 minutes or so, and he's putting up crazy numbers. I know, Jacob, you just did a whole video on him. So, Alex, I'll lend the floor to you. What are your thoughts on Wemby lately?
Wemby is very good. I don't know what hasn't been said about him that needs to be said. Just let
Right.
me know. I'll say it. But like,
Well,
yeah,
just
he's
basically
really
figured out
good.
his consistency.
he's finally being like treated in a way that like makes sense for his skill set, which for some reason the Spurs were like, yeah, we should make things as hard as possible for him. And now they're like, okay, well, I guess we'll actually, try to make this work. It's like, oh, he's efficient. He's more efficient now because you're not making his life as difficult as possible. Crazy how that works.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? So
You know who we need to throw to the Wolves as a shot creator are 7'4" big man.
Question from Ethan the Elk regarding trade season. Bruce Brown was part of this Pacers deal, and I believe he is looking to be rerouted by Toronto. He asked what team should trade for Bruce Brown.
I think he'd be great on the Denver Nuggets, man.
Right. I don't even think he's allowed, right? Because it's been too recent since he left the team in free agency, or am I mistaken or confused?
It depends. I think there are some rules like that, but I think it's like specific to sign and trades. Was he signed? I don't think he was signed. Either way, I think if there's any team that would need him the most, the Bucks would be perfect for Bruce Brown, but I don't think they're going to be able to get him.
The Knicks would probably be good too. I feel like the Knicks would be good.
I don't understand him on the Knicks. I've seen that rumor a lot, but it's like I feel like DiVincenzo and Josh Hart are like the same idea of a player. You know what I mean? Bruce
Josh
Brown's
Hart
more
kind of sucks.
Yeah,
so
he's been bad.
That's the
year.
bigger issue is that Josh Hart is bad right now.
Yeah.
Man, that's news to me. I haven't watched enough Knicks ball. Last I checked, he was a god.
Yeah, he was a god.
He is
for like
really
20,
bad right
for
now.
A 20-game stretch, but he's not been good. Right. I mean, I have hope that he can turn that around because he's been a good player plenty for. I feel like I'd rather just use my assets on a different archetype of player, even though Bruce is definitely far better than those guys. I don't know. Yeah, I'd love to see him on the Bucks. That's the team that makes the most sense, but like probably not going to go there. I don't know if the Jazz are trying to be competitive. Do they want to trade for Bruce Brown?
Send him to the Pistons, you know.
Don't do that. He got to escape. He doesn't need to go back.
He needs to return along with Brandon Knight and Brandon Jennings.
Probably be great on the Lakers.
The Gold Power Ranger gave us no money, but he just wanted to point out that he just noticed that Alex's hair is short and says R.I.P. the flow.
You guys are very observant.
Good riddance to it is disgusting.